Okay, let's have a look at protecting our formula now. So I basically coloured in grey everywhere where the user could type in to create the invoice, and everything else I've left blank. I mean, you might probably have used a different colour scheme. So what I'm going to do is wherever the user can type, which is this cell here, I'm going to highlight those. I'm going to highlight them all in one go, or you can do them individually, it doesn't really matter, but I just want to do it very quickly. So I'm going to I've highlighted those lot. I'm going to hold down Control, add that to the selection, hold down Control still, and highlight just those grey bits. Hold down Control still and highlight these grey bits. So these are just where the user can type. And then I'm just going to click on Format Cells right at the bottom, and in the window that comes up we've got this item called Protection, and what this does is it basically says that all the cells that we have selected so far are locked, and when we protect the worksheet, this has always been confusing, doesn't matter which version of Excel you have, even from the very beginning this message has always been very confusing. But the way this works is we basically unlock the cells which we have just highlighted, and remember the cells we highlighted are the ones where the user is allowed to type something in. Okay, so we've unlocked those by taking the tick out, and then I've just said OK. And then I'm going to go and protect the worksheet, and that is under Review. So let's go to Review and choose Protect Sheet. Okay, so don't put a password on it because you always forget passwords. I speak from many years of experience about this. So it says protect the worksheet and contents of locked cells. Yes, that's what we want to do. And remember, the locked cells, the only cells which will have a tick next to locked are the formula ones, because the grey ones on my one are the ones that I've unlocked. So I'm just going to say that the user isn't allowed to even select any of the locked cells, but obviously they are allowed to select the unlocked cells, right? Because that's where I want them to be able to click, and then I say OK. And what that does, that's pretty amazing now. I can click anywhere on my sheet where I'm allowed to type a name and change it. So for the next person, okay, but I cannot click anywhere else here to mess up any of my formulae, which is just fabulous. But I can click here and choose something else, and I can change the number, but I cannot just accidentally click and delete, for example, my discount formula. Okay, it's just not possible because I just cannot select that cell. I just cannot physically select it. The software has stopped me actually selecting that. Okay, so that's protection. So that's very straightforward. Now the next thing you need to do is, if we look at task C, which was one of the ones that we left for modelling, it gives us a number of scenarios that we need to be able to look at and use our invoice to look at various different ways of reaching the totals that are said here. So for example, the first one, it just says that a customer contacts China Friends and they want to buy a selection of items from Furry Friends, and they want to spend between £30 and £35 altogether, but they don't want to buy 10 of the same item or anything like that. So it says use your spreadsheet to find at least 2 possible selections that the customer can buy. Write about your investigation, describing what you did and the results you found. So what that means is we go to your spreadsheet and you select some Furry Friends items. We know Furry Friends all begin with F, so let's select some Furry Friends items and change which ones you're going to buy, so that obviously this figure is between 30 and 35. Okay, so that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get this figure to be between 30 and 35. And once you've done that, remember you're only allowed to buy one of these items, then you need 2 examples of different combinations that you could have, which will give you £30. And you basically print out that invoice. So you're going to print this out and then say here, basically write how you changed these figures to make this total become between 30 and 35. Okay, so that's very, very straightforward. The other bit of modelling you have to do, so that's for that particular one. Remember, these are distinction tasks, that's why we're doing them. This one here says that somebody has collected £50 for somebody who's leaving work to get a new job, and they want to spend within £2.50. So that means they can either spend £50 minus £2.50 or £50 plus £2.50. Okay, so roughly in the range of the £50 mark, and they're trying to buy a gift for the person who's leaving. So then again we do exactly like we did with our furry friends investigation, but this time you choose some other items which are going to come up to £50. Obviously if somebody's leaving, you don't want to buy them 6 elephants or something like that, or maybe, I don't know, you might want to. It depends who the person is. So those are the constraints, and again we need 2 different scenarios of those, so the final total comes £2.50 either side of £50. And again you write about those and what you found, basically what you changed on your spreadsheet and which numbers changed as a result and what items you recommend. Okay, so that's that bit done, and in the next section we're going to look at recording macros, and I think that should be the last bit.